and welcome to History Today. I can tell you that no one is more surprised than myself and Professor F.J. Lewis when the news came through that we were to be granted another series of discussion programs on the television. However, I can assure all those who may have been uncertain about the decision that tonight's discussion on the perennial topic of Romanticism and industrialization will be a most rigorous investigation into this always provoking issue. Professor F.J. Lewis, I wonder if we may begin by talking about the ways in which this period saw the beginning of social disintegration.
Indeed. The collapse of the extended family meant that for literally thousands of women, the only way of supporting themselves was to turn to prostitution. There are several accounts of this, but perhaps the most harrowing is My Life as a Prostitute, a first-person account by a woman who, being very ugly and suffering from scrofula, could not charge very much for her services, and so was compelled, alas, to perform all sorts of degrading sexual acts with over 100,000 men.
Well, this sounds like a very important source text, this My Life as a Prostitute. I wonder, is there a modern edition of the publication?
Yes, it's Weidenfeld and Nicholson, second edition, price £27.99. That's My Life as a Prostitute by Your Mum.
I see. See a pond or a lake or a very, very large puddle?
Yes.
That's your bed, that is. You're on the front cover of Bedwetters Monthly.
Of course, what this period saw was essentially a pendulum-like movement, a swinging from Romanticism to materialism, and then back again, and then violently back once more.
Yes.
And that's how you drive. All over the shop. You know men who put fruit up each other's bottom?
Yes.
Oh, you do? You know them. They're your friends. You've said it. You can't take it back now.
No, I didn't mean I know them.
Well, that's what you said. You shouldn't have said it.
See a pair of 3D glasses which you get free with TV Quick, and they've got like an orangey bit and a green plastic bit on each eye, and they don't fit properly.
Has the green piece come off slightly and it's sort of hanging off?
Yes, and there's some writing on the side where someone has tested a biro on it.
Yes.
That's your Ray-Bans, that is. That's your cool shades. Oh, hi, girls. Tom Cruise here. But, Professor Lewis, if we could return to the subject in hand. I was reading an interesting piece the other day.
No, you weren't. Because you can't read. And you can't afford a book.
Well, actually, it was a piece by yourself. A rather fine piece in the Historical Inquirer. I was very impressed by it.
Oh. Were you? Thank you.
I was particularly moved by a section on page 35 about the advancement of Scottish radicalism. I'd like to read from it, if I may.
I'd be honoured.
Your best work, I feel. Well, I don't think anyone can be in any doubt that tonight Romanticism and industrialisation have been covered in a most invigorating way. Professor Lewis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to History Today. I would like to take this moment to thank viewers who have stayed with us over the course of these discussions. We are under increasing pressure from the controllers who feel that we have been in some way disappointing those viewers with a yen for historical inquiry. I can only apologise and pledge that tonight both myself and Professor F.J. Lewis, Emeritus Professor of History at All Souls College, Oxford, are determined, as never before, to undertake a full and rigorous exposition of tonight's most exciting subject, the Doomsday Book, the beginning of radicalism or the end of liberty. Professor Lewis.
See that Michael Bolton?
Oh dear. I am aware of his work.
That's your haircut, that.
You see those white plastic bracelets that mental patients wear that say, on continuous medication, return wearer to hospital?
I have observed them.
That's your swatch, that is. That's your shock-proof Tag Heuer.
It is indeed a moot point, end of radicalism, beginning of liberty.
Yes.
But this is a twilight period of transition. Can be seen in the magical significance 14th century mythology attaches to things which are themselves symbols of transition.
Yes.
The edge of a forest. Or twilight itself, that dusk before the day has really ended, but nor can one say that it is yet early evening.
Of course.
And that's your bedtime, that. That's your bedtime on Friday nights. You're on the front cover of 5:15 Monthly. Congratulations.
The importance of the Doomsday Book as a milestone in history can be seen from the fact that it is one of only a handful of books to be kept in cryogenic suspension at the British Museum. The book is held in a sealed chamber at a set temperature of minus 273 degrees Celsius, a temperature which in modern physics is known as absolute zero.
Indeed.
And that's the number of pubic hairs. You thought you had one the other day, but then you weed through it.
You know those things that happen in the street after 9 o'clock?
Oh, yes, very much so.
Oh, so I presume you're familiar with the Viking longboat driven by Mary Peters down our street at 9:30.
Yes, of course.
Like all ships of Nordic pagan design,
Yes.
had a curved aft and a curved stern, thus.
Yes, I'm aware of the design.
And that's how you walk down the street.
Well, I don't think that anyone can be in any doubt that...
Oh, hi, girls. Oh, no, 5:15.
that tonight Professor Lewis and myself have had a most penetrating and illuminating debate. Professor F.J. Lewis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to History Today. Tonight's topic, a most exciting topic if I may say, is the Enclosures Act and its effect on English rural population. Professor Lewis, I wonder if you would agree that the most perceptive analysis of 14th century culture may be garnered from the literature of the time, Langland, Bunyan and specifically Chaucer.
Gat gente and sorwe hem the lande went into the quente broche wa the pande. O kinge, would thou nelte dignule in date, ne scrivenish or craftile though it arite.
Indeed. And how exactly would you interpret this piece?
That's how your mum talks. She's got a bit missing from her mouth. tragedy.
I see. See one of those boxes with a drawing of a cow on it, and when you turn it upside down, it goes moo.
Moo?
Yes, moo.
I have observed the novelty item.
That's your stereo, that. That's your state-of-the-art Hitachi. See that Matt Munro?
No, I've never heard of him, and no one knows or cares who he is.
Yes, that's you, that.
You know when you're walking through a field and you tread in a cowpat, and then immediately with the other foot you tread in another cowpat.
So I am effectively, at this stage, standing in two piles of cack.
Up to the ankles.
I have heard talk of the experience.
That's your new trainers, that is. That's your 100-pound Reeboks.
Professor Lewis, do you see that woman at the back of the television theatre?
Do you mean right at the very, very back wall of the entire studio?
Yes. From here, she is a barely distinguishable speck.
I can just make her out.
That's the nearest you've ever come to getting off with a girl. Well, I don't think anyone can be in any doubt that tonight, myself and Professor F.J. Lewis have had a most valid, rich and incisive debate. Professor F.J. Lewis, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening and welcome to History Today. I have been informed that we must, on tonight's programme, make every endeavour to stick with an academic discipline to tonight's topic, church and state. Professor Lewis.
Well, we must remember that for large parts of our country's history, church and state were effectively one. This spiritual bureaucracy is reflected in the severity of monastic orders at the time. Under the terms of his oath, a Benedictine monk, for example, could not only never have sexual relations with a woman, nor did he ever talk to a woman, nor even approach within 50 yards of a woman.
I am aware of the strictures.
And that's you on your 18 to 30 holiday,
Of course, Charles I was executed in a dispute essentially concerning church and state. Hansard records that following his guillotining, the body jerked around grotesquely for 20 seconds, writhing about in a pitiful display, his arms and legs shooting this way and that uncontrollably, as the gathered crowd laughed and spat.
Indeed.
And that's you dancing, that is. That's the way, I like
it, See an old chipped saucer lying against a brick wall in an alleyway.
Is it a green saucer from an institutional tea set?
Yes, and it's gone brown where some tea has stained the white bit.
I have seen such an item of discarded bric-a-brac.
That's your satellite dish, that is.
The monarch who could be said to have truly united church and state was Elizabeth I. Her power was iconically linked with her refusal to marry, so that it became part of her mythology that she remained inviolate, known to all as the Virgin Queen.
Yes.
That's you, that is. That's your most manly nickname.
Essentially, throughout our history, there has been a constant power shift, moving from church to state, from state to church, thus, and then back again once more.
I am aware of the continual fluctuation.
And that's what everyone does when they stand downwind from your mother. Oh, cool, blimey, cool, can't you?
In the present day, the balance seems to have shifted to state. But today's secular society is perhaps conditioned by an awareness of our temporal instability. Why, even this very land on which the battle between church and state was for so many years fought is continually being eroded by the sea. Our cliffs are moving back at a rate of 4 meters per year.
I am aware of the topographical crisis.
And that's how fast you run. That's you on sports day. Well, I don't think anyone can be in any doubt that tonight myself and Professor Lewis have had a most incisive debate. Professor Lewis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to History Today. We continue this evening with the subject of the Enclosures Act and its effect on the English rural population. As it would appear, there are those who feel that last week myself and Professor Lewis didn't quite make the inroads into the subject that perhaps we might. So I wonder, Professor Lewis, whether you would agree with the Marxists that the Enclosures Act forms the point at which government first effectively becomes state.
See that?
I have observed the image.
That's you in your latest clothes, that is. That's you trying your best to be really with it. That's what you wear when you're out on the pull.
See that?
I have observed the slide.
That's your gang, that is. That's you with your hard mates. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. See that?
Yes.
That's the man who works inside your pants.
See that?
I have observed it.
That's your most successful barbecue ever. That's like the biggest single gathering of all your friends in the whole world.
See that?
I have observed the woman.
That's someone who you've just told your funniest joke. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Tell it to me again, Professor Lewis. Do. See that?
Yes.
That's your prostate gland.
I haven't got a prostate gland.
Yes, that's why it's in that warehouse.
See that?
Do you mean the boyish figure in between the two girls?
Yes.
I have observed the Fauntleroyish figure.
You've lost a fight to him. He's staring you out right now. You can't look him in the eye. Go on, stare at him. You can't.
See that?
Yes.
That's you having your best ever snob.
Your bird never told you she was with me.
Well, I don't think anyone can be in any doubt that tonight myself and Professor Lewis have had the most rigorous of debates. Professor Lewis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to History Today. Tonight we will be endeavouring to establish a cogent idea of British civic life, our institutions and so forth, from pre-Roman times to our own. Professor Lewis, I wonder if you would agree with radical Celtic historians that the notion of a centralised bureaucracy is essentially alien to the British character.
Indeed, although the essential flux which informs as nebulous a term as character means that this theory topples over like a fallen tree. And that's what you did when you had your BCG.
I don't care about anything you say today, because tomorrow I'm going to Marine World in Brighton.
Yeah, in a special bus. And you can't even go to the toilet on your own. And the driver's on, like, strict instructions not to go over 3 miles per hour in case you get scared.
Even if that were the case, which it is not, it still remains the fact that it is I who am going to Brighton Marine World and not you. So, if we may return to the discussion in hand, I wonder if I might inquire, Professor Lewis, whether, all things considered, you have been to Brighton Marine World. British civic development changes course radically with the Great Fire of London, after which there was the opportunity to restructure and recodify the way records were kept. So that as tiny a spark in as lowly a place as Pudding Bowl Lane...
That's where you have your haircut.
It is not until the 19th century...
And you eat your dinner in snot and bogey pie, haven't you?
You need special medicine to live. And I'm the one going to Brighton Marine World. It is, of course, possible to achieve an exact dating for such artefacts. This coin, for example, is quite clearly inscribed with the letters CLMXII.
I have observed the inscription.
Which is your best ever spelling of climax.
See a whelk stall outside a South London pub.
Oh, yes, yes.
And it's got to be about 5 o'clock on a hot Saturday afternoon. And all that's left on the display tray are a few sorry-looking jellied eels, 1 whelk, and a couple of dried-up, shriveled prawns.
I have observed such a roadside establishment.
That's Brighton Marine World.